Ryan, back from your sort of little break in Scotland for the Christmas period, and a few things to catch up on.
Yeah, everything seems to have so much seems to happen when I disappear for a day or two. And I did go back up to Scotland, see the family over the Christmas period, and come back into an onslaught of various things that seems to have happened in what I thought would probably be a quieter time. And here we've got January to look forward to ahead of that. So what could be better? So fire away.
Start with Dublin and the players and reports in the press.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, I've said this to the local media as well, that we are aware of it. Paul said it too, we are aware of the situation, made inquiries, and we've dealt with it internally. I don't think we as a club need to go into any further details than that, and that's the way we want to leave it. We want to draw a line under it. It's happened, it's been dealt with, and it's been dealt with by the club. And I don't think it's anybody else's business after that.
Kit vote as well, put out the news that Kit C is the one that's been chosen, and a bit of a negative reaction from some. Some
seem to have misconstrued the wording of the statement, whether that was poor media skills from our media manager or whatever, I don't know. But Kit C was the one that won the vote, albeit marginally, and I think what we were trying to say was the A and C were the two ones which were obviously far ahead of the other three that we put up for the vote. But everybody seems to have misconstrued it, that we've actually, and I know it's the way it was worded about making a decision which on reflection probably was poor, but we think we've got to hold our hands up and say that probably wasn't the right terminology to use. But you know, we're looking forward to it. We've actually had quite a lot of positive stuff despite that. You know, a lot of people come in the shop in the last week saying about who maybe don't read stuff online and have been saying, oh, they're pleased because they'd actually voted for C as well. So it's pleasing. I think once it comes out, everybody will forget about it, and hopefully it's a blue and amber striped shirt that everybody wanted.
I suppose with any vote, once you look into the data, you have the Kitty McKitface voting and Jeremy Corbyn's.
Yeah, we had actually quite a lot of strange ones there. A lot of people didn't have supporter numbers, so just put in like number 12, number 4, and so obviously once we had to go through all the, shall we say, spoilt votes, because there were quite a number of them, even fake email addresses, people weren't registered in our system. So once we stripped them out, we had to obviously then come to a final decision.
A little bit of news today in the Charlton game with Moa and George not being registered in time, so a little fine for that.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one. Disappointing they were fined on it, to be honest with you. It's the clubs over the last number of years, from my understanding, certainly my time, certainly and beyond, have not had any misdemeanours. It was disappointing we were fined. The level of the fine again, I think it's £2,000 we got fined. Was disappointing as well. It's an administrative error. It was one basically caused by the forms being in 12 minutes later, and they should have been in the way of by the clearance coming back from the Premiership, which is unfortunate. Yeah, we've admitted it. Yeah, we did make a mistake, and we assumed that everything was the same as everything was okay because we got the confirmation back. Unfortunately, the way the rules are is slightly strange. For a standard loan, you have to have registered the player for, obviously the game was on the Tuesday night, you have to have registered the player by 12 o'clock on the Monday, and we registered the two of them and got the clearance back at 12:14. The forms were actually put in before 12, but the clearance didn't come back till 12:14. But for an emergency loan, they can actually be signed right up to 3 hours before the kick-off, which I find quite bizarre that, you know, there's no consistency there. But in the day, there's been a number of clubs when you look at when they sent through the paperwork on it, there have been quite a number of clubs that have been fined for administrative errors over the years. I've been party to it before, in the first job I worked at Ayr United. It can happen. It's one of these things that's unfortunate. You're trying to avoid it, you're trying to pay as much care as you possibly can, but there are quite a number of forms for every player that signs, and there's quite a bit of admin involved in it. So it's done. We've taken a slap in the wrists, albeit it's painful because of the £2,000 fine, but we move on.
Another fine as well with Paul for the Bristol Rovers game, and kicking the ball away.
We're having a great week. The FA have actually charged Paul because he got sent off for the Bristol Rovers game because he entered the field of play and kicked the ball. Obviously Paul admitted that straight away, that he was in error. He apologised straight away, took his punishment, and and I was quite astonished when this came through that they were fined £1,500 for that for a first offence. Paul's got no history of ever having an issue before. Obviously been managing for over 5 years now, and the first misdemeanour, probably a very quiet manager in comparison to a lot when you see some of the other antics around technical areas. And then I had a long debate with the FA yesterday on the phone about why he can get fined £1,500, and if you look at the relevance of it's all related to which league you're in, how much you pay. But the bizarre thing is the money isn't equitable to the monies you receive from the English Football League, EFL, for example. You know, Championship clubs are getting over £6 million in central revenues. We're getting 1.3. Yet the fine for Paul was £1,500, and it's £3,000 for a Championship. So I don't quite get how you can get 6 times the income, but they only get charged twice the fee. But anyway, that's another personal gripe I've got that just doesn't seem fair.
I suppose it's interesting as well because Paul mentioned the other day that he'd rung up the referee's assessor about Bolton, and he said, okay, it should have been a penalty, and we're on the other end of it, and we just take it.
And Paul's complimented for the way he acted at the end of the game when he went to see the referee, how he didn't completely go off his head and how he was very calm and composed, and that's the kind of character that Paul is. So that's why it's disappointing where Paul, in a first offence, in a one-off incident, which we hope will be a one-off incident, it's hit really hard, you know, for a £1,500 fine. I just don't think, I think, you know, in my opinion, having been in football for 20 years, I've never seen a first offender getting fined like that, but you just worry sometimes about where the money's going.
A few little things to catch up on, I suppose. Toilet seats from the last supporters' parliament. You've looked into it. It's an interesting cost as well.
It's this is one that's been ongoing since I think probably the first supporters' parliament I went to in February or March. About toilet seats, we have been looking quite strenuously at options to do this. We spoke to the manufacturer, which is Frank, and they said you can't retrofit any toilet seats because of the design of them. Because we came up with the idea if we could find some solution to this, we could even put some of the in each toilet block, because there are a lot of seats if you like, or needing toilets in the stadium. But even if we could have found some way of getting a solution for it, we're still looking, to be honest with you. But you know, it's still on my list to try and deal with. I've also got one of my colleagues is trying to, in the maintenance side, is trying to look at how we can get it. Either you buy a completely new toilets for, which obviously if you work out every toilet and you put 4 or 5 toilets in, it could become quite costly, and then plus the plumbing costs as well. So we're mindful of costs as well, especially where we are in the league and everything else. But if we can come up with a solution that fits, then we'll do it, and that's why we've obviously been speaking to various manufacturers, including the ones that provided the toilets. I can't believe I'm talking about toilet seats here. If we can come up with a solution, we will.
Coming towards the end of 2016 as well, nearly 9 months in the job. Anything that's stood out about coming in?
I think, to be honest with you, the biggest frustration I have is negativity. I've spoken before at the Supporters Parliament how I wish everybody would just look forward and not look back. There seems to be so many people that want to look back all the time and dig the club up at any possible opportunity. And I think if we could just rally together and everybody could pull in the one direction and look forward and look at what we have here and what we're trying to do with the training ground and everything else, and trying to move the club forward. We are trying to listen, we are trying to move forward. You know, even like say Memorial Garden, where everybody worked together, the OSC, the Super Blues, the Supporters Parliament and the club, everybody working as one. It shows what can be achieved. But for me, the frustration I have just now is there's just so much negativity and looking back, and we need to overcome that negativity. We all want the club to flourish, we all want the club to improve, but the only way we're going to improve is if everybody supports the club and everybody is positive about the club, to try and get new supporters along, and obviously some toilet seats as well.
It's funny as well, I suppose one positive has been the reaction since Paul came in and the points we've picked up, just moving away from the bottom. So I guess now in a couple of days the transfer window opens, so expecting to be busy. Yeah,
I mean there's obviously quite a number of things going on behind the scenes. Although I tried to switch off when I was back up north, you can't ever, because obviously Paul's in touch as well. We're talking quite a lot, myself, Paul and the chairman, about targets, and obviously it's now as you get closer to the window opening, things start to move on. So Paul was up when I returned to the office, was put up first thing with a list of a to-do list, shall we say, with some numbers to call. So obviously we want players in as soon as we possibly can. We want to move things on. We are also aware that some of the loans are up in the first 10 days in January, so there's decisions to be made on them one way or other as well. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks coming up, but hopefully one which we can improve the squad and kick on from where we have been.